Hello folks, welcome back. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. Earlier today I read Al Jazeera and I came across an opinion piece, an op-ed piece from some gentleman from Zimbabwe, Tafi Maka, who wrote an op-ed, and it says, "Whatever comes, I will remain in the motherland. Keep your America, Mr. Trump, and we will keep our Africa." Well, Mr. Maka is very upset about some developments from his very uninformed, opinionated, bigoted, and arguably racist worldview. And so I'm just going to call him out on a few of these things. I've lived in countries all over Africa. I've lived in Tunisia, Liberia, Botswana, Malawi, Niger, Mauritania, Uganda, and Ethiopia. And I've worked in close to 40 African countries at one time or another. So I'm pretty confident I've seen much of what Africa has to offer. And while I have a great love for Africa and for Africans in general, I take offense to people who look at Africa and think it's black. It's not black, it's multi-hued. And this gentleman is approaching this from a black viewpoint. Nothing wrong with having a black viewpoint or white viewpoint if that's who you are. But to cloud out all other views and all other information to promote your narrative based on your affinity for particular skin pigmentation is a bit disappointing. He says that when I first heard of Trump's proposed visa bans, I felt profound disdain. Why? Do you want to come to America? It's obvious from his op-ed he doesn't want to come to America, so I don't believe what he says for a heartbeat. It was impossible not to recall his infamous shithole countries comment from January 11th, 2018. Actually, you're not recalling it because it was reported incorrectly. First off, it was classified information that took place in a private setting with members of the Democratic Party who in bad faith ran off and said that. Trump actually called Haiti a shithole country. That's what he's talking about. He didn't name any countries in Africa. So get your facts straight. And I'm sorry, a lot of Nigerians who immigrated here made videos after Trump made the video and said, yeah, of course it's a crap hole country. That's why I'm in America. Yeah. So while your feelings are hurt, you need to take an accurate assessment of what's actually happening in Africa and across the continent. He says it's an act of racial profiling aimed at African nations. No, it wasn't. That's just your bigotry and your inability to see the truth. Show me the African nations that are succeeding aside from Rwanda, Mauritius, Cape Verde, Botswana. Show me the success stories. Where? Namibia? No. DRC? No. Cote d'Ivoire? No. Niger? Mauritania? Mali? Burkina Faso? No. Chad? Somalia? South Sudan? Sudan? No. Please, spare me. On January 20th, he froze U.S. aid to Africa. Now, that's a lie. That's factually a lie. Trump didn't freeze aid to Africa. He froze aid to the world. And this woe is me, we're first, black first nonsense is where this worldview comes from. Mr. Maka, he froze aid to the entire world because of massive corruption in USAID. And now it doesn't exist anymore. And what aid it did give out that's still going out is being dispersed by the State Department, which is where it should have been all along before Kennedy created this USAID. So first of all, that's just a lie, man. That's not true. So how can you even take this guy seriously when he lies? He didn't target Africa. The entire world lost aid. Now he's close to denying many of us visas from Burkina Faso to Cameroon to Ivory Coast. Did you, for a moment, consider the reason why? Countries like that have had since 2001 to modernize their visa programs, to share criminal databases, to prove the provenance of the people whom they issue passports and visas to. Yet many of these countries refuse to do it. Also, many of the countries on the list, their nationals break the law. So are we supposed to continue to be suckers for people like you, Mr. Makaka, so that your fellow countrymen can come here, overstay their visas, and illegally invade our country? Now, the Zimbabwe Republic Police wouldn't look kindly if I stayed in Zimbabwe past my visa. They'd declare me persona non grata, and they'd kick me out. But when a high percentage of people from your country are doing this, don't we have a recourse? Don't we get a say in this? Apparently, that isn't germane. It's just that his feelings are hurt because countries he considers to be black are being put on the list. But they're not the only countries. Countries from all over the world are being put on the list. But they're being disproportionately put on the list from Africa because they disproportionately break the rules. He says, unwittingly, Trump is nudging African nations towards greater self-reliance. Well, I would disagree, Mr. Makaka. He's not unwittingly doing it. Trump has ended aid to stop making people beggars and is encouraging trade. Mutually beneficial trade for Africans and for America. That's what he's encouraging. You know, you teach a man to fish. You don't keep feeding him. We've been feeding Africa for 60 years. And what has it gotten us? Stupid comments and op-eds like yours that discriminate and call America names because you're incapable of being objective or you just don't understand the reality of the facts. Yes, Trump is nudging Africa towards self-reliance. It's not unwittingly. It's wittingly. It's intentionally. Forcing you to confront the unmet needs of our restless populations. Why haven't you done that? Zimbabwe has been independent since 1980. Been majority black rule since 1980. White folks have never, ever had a chance to rule that country since 1980. But you've been ruled by criminals from ZANU and then ZANU-PF. And you continue to be ruled by people like that. Yet you blame others for your failures. Now, this gentleman who has this disdain for America talks openly in his op-ed about how so many of his family members have come to America and succeeded and done very well. But for some reason, he hates America. Maybe they aren't racist. Maybe that's why they like America. He says anti-immigration rhetoric has hardened across the U.S. political spectrum. That's factually untrue as well. What evidence do you have of that? Anti-criminal alien invader sentiment is definitely running at a high. We don't like criminals who invade our country. It's our sovereignty, just like it's your sovereignty in Zimbabwe, Mr. Maka. It's your sovereignty. And you protect your borders. Do you not have immigration people, customs border people at your border posts? Anybody can just walk in? Can I just walk in the Bight Bridge and just come into Zimbabwe and stay as long as I want? Get a job, take it away from Zimbabweans? So when we stand for our sovereignty, apparently it's a problem for you and you think it's racist. Pfft, spare me. Also, it's untrue that anti-immigration rhetoric is at a high. In 2024, the United States naturalized 840,000 foreign nationals as American citizens. That's more than double the entire world combined. One country with just 5% of the world's population takes in 2/3 of naturalized citizens every year. 840,000. That pace hasn't slowed down under Trump. So stop your nonsense and your racist bullshit about America being anti-immigrant. It's not. We're anti-criminal. That's what we are. And this is really, very telling about who he is and where he comes from. He's factually wrong. The fear of becoming yet another victim of American police brutality, as the world witnessed with the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis on May 25th, 2020. That's not what happened on May 25th, 2020. George Floyd tried to pass counterfeit currency in a store. The police were called. He sat in his vehicle and for 25 minutes refused to exit his vehicle. He was not unaccompanied. There was another black gentleman with him. That gentleman exited the vehicle when the police asked him to exit the vehicle. And he was released. Nothing happened to him. George Floyd was belligerent. He finally exited the vehicle. He assaulted the police officers who were restrained in an authorized chokehold taught to the Minneapolis police officers by the department, later disavowed in a corrupt, railroaded sham trial. The coroner determined the cause of death was not the chokehold, but rather the fentanyl overdose that Mr. Floyd was on while he was under the influence. He endangered public safety and he was restrained. He wasn't murdered. Derek Chauvin is the one who's being abused here. He's in prison for executing his duties lawfully because a criminal who's black got away with it. Well, he didn't get away with it. He died. But the country got away with the myth of George Floyd's murder. He wasn't murdered. He says, I know that black people, African or otherwise, are far too often subjected to racism, violence, and discrimination. Oh, my goodness. Do we need to bring statistics out? What is your basis for that? Your opinion? You've never been to America. So how do you know that? Do you know that from what you read or what you read in the newspapers? Do you actually experience life in America? Did you grow up in a housing project that was overwhelmingly black? I did. Did you grow up in the projects in Buffalo, New York that was overwhelmingly Hispanic? I did. You may have missed this, but I'm a white dude. Yeah, so stop your nonsense. Utter nonsense. I've lived in all circumstances in America and all over the country in nearly 40 of the lower 48 states. And what you're saying is cock. It's nonsense. We had almost eliminated all overt racism in this country before Barack Obama came along. And he reinstituted it with his racist narratives. And then the Democrats reinforced it with their fake news nonsense. Far too often subjected to violence and discrimination, regardless of immigration status. Well, most black folks in America don't have immigration status because, hey, listen to this, Toffee, they're Americans. So they don't have an immigration status. They're born here. Their ancestors came here long ago, most of them. To the couple million plus black Africans who arrived here since 1990, all of them, by and large, tend to do much better in the statistics, per capita income and such, than people born in America. So he says, whatever comes, I'll remain in the motherland. Keep your America, Mr. Trump. We'll keep our Africa. Well, you can have your Africa with your rampant starvation in Zimbabwe. You'd all be starving if it hadn't been for American generosity feeding you through USAID. And millions of you would be dead if it hadn't been for antiretrovirals and the research America's pharmaceuticals did and the gifts we gave to Zimbabwe. So you can have that. You can keep that. Enjoy. Enjoy your unproductive farms that were stolen from legal farmers who bought the land after 1980 and then were turned on by a racist government. You talk about racism, discrimination, you need to look no further, my friend, than Zimbabwe. They attacked its commercial farmers because of the color of their skin. 38% of the commercial farmers in the year 2000 had begun farming in Zimbabwe after the year 1980. And who's ruled Zimbabwe since 1980? ZANU and ZANU-PF. Majority black governments. Mugabe and Mnangagwa. Only ruled by black folks. Yet they stole their farms that they purchased with their approval. Murdered many of them. 38 or 40 farmers and their family members murdered on their farms. Hundreds, if not 1,000 black Zimbabweans murdered by racist thieves. So you can keep your Zimbabwe and we'll keep our America. It's unfortunate because Zimbabwe is full of wonderful people. Talented people, polite people, respectful people who just want to live their lives. Sadly, 4 million of them have to live abroad. They can't live in Zimbabwe because of the oppressive state. So, Mr. Maka, you can keep your Zimbabwe. We'll keep our America, the land of opportunity, the land of freedom. And contrary to your lies and hysteria, it's not the land of racism. That doesn't mean there isn't racism. There's always racism. There's always stupid people. I mean, look at Mr. Maka's op-ed. There's always stupid people around the world. You know nothing about America by your own admission. You've never been to America by your own admission. I know Zimbabwe. I know Zimbabweans. And I've been to Zimbabwe. And I've lived in Southern Africa. So, I'll keep my America. You can keep your Zimbabwe. Shame on you. Race hustling. Because your feelings are hurt. Countries that don't provide criminal databases, that don't use modern passport standards, despite the fact that we, the U.S. taxpayer, have given them all the equipment to do it, and they agree to do it, are international pariahs when it comes to passports. And it's time for countries to protect their sovereignty, not just the United States. And if you have a large number of your citizens who refuse to adhere to the rules and obey visa standards in return when their visa expires, well, then you get what you deserve. What say you folks? Cheers.